distinguished dignitaries, senior government officials, industry representatives, eminent speakers, participants, media, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you to the 11th Asian Textile Conference. The theme of this conference is 2025 and beyond, Asia, the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumers. However, the global textiles and clothing industry is going through a phase of restructuring and consolidation brought by shifts in sourcing, climate change, sustainability, and digitalization. The world is yet to recover from the after effects of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and sticky inflation. In a nutshell, these are the opportunities and challenges being faced by the CEOs and the policy makers in the Asian textile landscape today. It will not be wrong to say that Asia is reaping the demographic dividend, has already established itself as a significant hub for textile manufacturing and consumption. Countries such as China, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and others in the region have become major players in both the production and consumption of textiles and apparel. With this background, Confederation of Indian Textile Industry today is organizing the 11th edition of ATEXCON that will provide a conclusive forum for policy makers and the industry to collaborate and find the way forward to usher the Asian textile industry to a sustainable future through 2025 and beyond. Mr. Sunil Patwari, Chairman, TextProxil, please come over to the stage, sir. Mr. Ravi Sam, Chairman, SIMA. We would like to invite Mr. Vijay Agarwal, Vice Chairman, TextProxil. Mr. Ravi Sam, Chairman, SIMA, please come over to the stage, sir. Dr. Christian Schindler, Director General, ITMF, please come over to the stage, sir. Mr. Ashwin Chandran, Vice Chairman, City. Mr. Navdeep Sodhi, Partner, Girzi Textile Organization. Please come over to the stage, sir. On the dais, we have Chief Mentor, CMAI, Mr. Rahul Mehta. A small introduction about him. He is acknowledged as one of the leaders of the domestic garment industry. He is currently the President of International Apparel Federation, based out of Netherlands, President of the Clothing Manufacturers Association of India, and member of the Managing Committee of the Apparel Export Promotion Council. Let me take the privilege of introducing Mr. Ravi Sam, Chairman, SIMA. Mr. Ravi Sam is a commerce graduate and holds postgraduate diploma in textile technology from the University of Manchester Institute of Science and Technology. He was the chairman of CII Tamil Nadu and at present chairman of CII SR Subcommittee on Sustainability, CSR, and Affirmative Action to bring inclusiveness to the marginalized sectors of the society covering all the 6 southern states. Let me again take the privilege of introducing Dr. Christian Schindler, Director General, ITMF. The International Textile Manufacturers Federation is the international forum of the global textile industry. Dr. Schindler was appointed economist of the International Textile Manufacturers Federation in October 2004 and was promoted to the position of director in 2006. At the Federation's annual conference in Dubai, in September 2006, he was nominated and elected Director General in 2007. Let me again take the privilege of introducing Mr. Ashwin Chandran, Vice Chairman, City. Sri Ashwin Chandran is the Chairman and Managing Director, Precourt Meridian Limited, which has textile units in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. Sri Ashwin Chandran, a BSc Honours graduate in Textile Technology, UK, and postgraduate from University of Illinois, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived for that momentous occasion which we were all waiting for months. We are going to start the theme session of the 11th ATEXCON. We have amongst us our guest of honor for today's program, Honorable Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh. Welcome you, ma'am. We are also having Joint Secretary, Ms. Prajakta Verma from the Ministry of Textiles and Railways. May I request Sri T. Rajkumar, Chairman City, to present a bouquet to Honorable Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh. Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh is an Indian politician and currently serving as Union State Minister of Textiles and Railways. She is a member of the Lok Sabha representing the Surat constituency in Gujarat. She has been proactive and instrumental in bringing out many policy reforms announced recently for the overall growth of the textile sector. May I request Sri T. Rajkumar, Chairman City, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
எங்கள் அன்பிற்கும் மரியாதைக்கும் உரிய மாண்புமிகு ரயில்வே மற்றும் ஜவுளித்துறையின் இணை அமைச்சர், மதிப்பிற்கும் மரியாதைக்கும் உரிய திருமதி தர்ஷனா விக்ரம் ஜர்தோஷ்ஜி அவர்களே, most respected and our beloved Honorable Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardoshi ji, Vice Chairman Texprocil Sri Sunil ji, Chief Mentor of the Cloth Manufacturers Association of India, Sri Rahul Mehta ji, Chairman of the Southern India Mills Association, Sri Radisson ji, Director General of the Indian Textile Manufacturers Federation, Dr. Christian Schindler, Partner Gersi Textile Organization, Sri Navdeep Sodhi ji, our Deputy Chairman of the Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, Sri Rakesh Mehra ji, Vice Chairman of the Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, Sri Ashwin ji, our most respected and beloved Joint Secretary, Madam Prajakta Verma ji, senior government officials, delegates from Asia and across India, esteemed invitees of Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, my friends from the industry, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you for the 11th edition of the Asian Textile Conference at ATEXCON, City's flagship event for discussing the role that India and Asia can play to strengthen the global textile and apparel industry. Madam, I sincerely thank you for accepting to be guest of honor at today's event. Your presence and support to Confederation of Indian Textile Industry has always been a source of inspiration for us. So on behalf of all of us, I welcome our Honorable Minister of State, Shri Darshana Vikram Jardoshi ji, for this conference. Same way, friends, our beloved Joint Secretary, Srimati Prajakta Verma ji IAS, has been a source of strength and support to all of us, always. She has left no stone unturned for the welfare of our textile industry. The day she took charge, she has been working very hard in discharging and helping the industry in all possible ways on the vision to honor the take forward the vision of our beloved Prime Minister, Madam. On behalf of Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, I welcome you for this conference. I also welcome all the dignitaries on dais, senior government officials, invitees of the Confederation of Indian Textile Industries, delegates from the Indian textile industry, and friends from the media. I thank each one of you for gracing this occasion of the 11th edition of ATEXCON. The current edition of ATEXCON is themed 2025 and Beyond Asia, the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumers. Friends, the value of the global textile and apparel exports stood at around 958 billion US dollars in 2022, accounting for 34% of the total textile and apparel exports. China continues to be number one T&A exporting country, followed by Bangladesh and Vietnam. India, which was on the 6th largest exporter to the world, accounted to around 4% of global trade. Thus, from the supply side, Asia plays the largest role in global trade. Friends, the world today is going through challenging times. The pandemic emergency may be over, but the economy is yet to recover from the after effects. Geopolitical tensions remain high. According to the IMF, the world economy will grow at a slower pace of 3% in 2023 from 3.5% in 2022. The World Trade Organization has cut down the growth of world trade in goods to 1.7%. Inflation also remains high. Moreover, there is also a decline in demand for textile and apparel products world over, and hence it becomes imperative for all of us to understand this changing trend and discuss its impact in the future so that our textile and apparel industry can prepare itself to take on these challenges head on. With this background, Citi is organizing this 11th edition of ATEXCON today. This ATEXCON brings out enabling resilient textile and apparel supply chains, regional cooperation and partnership for sustainable development, brand talk, emergency trend and opportunities in the MMF-based textile added textiles, including technical textiles, collaboration with India, inviting state partners with PM Mitra Mega Textile Park, Green Revolution scaling sustainable textiles and apparel manufacturing, trend development and innovations in home textiles. Today's discussion will be incomplete without discussing the role of India in the Asian textile industry and also the global textile industry, as India is one of the few countries of the world which has the presence in the entire textile value chain, from production of raw material to the delivery of finished goods, with substantial value addition at each stage of processing, unlike its peer competitors which are dependent on other countries for their raw material supply. Though at present India is the 6th largest exporter of textile and apparel products to the world, however, the world today is looking at India as a stable, growing and competitive supplier of textile and apparel products. Friends, our sector is the second largest employment providing sector in India after agriculture, which provides direct and indirect employment to more than 10 crore people, including a large number of women and the rural population. Friends, all I would say is the government headed by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, has been very supportive to the textile industry, and they have announced various policy measures such as the Product Linked Incentive Scheme, PM Mitra Park, updated foreign trade policy, fast-tracked FTAs, etc. In fact, I would like to highlight the active role of the Ministry of Textiles has been playing, though through a very consultative process, for various schemes have been introduced or are in the process of being implemented. It is the result of the concentrated efforts of the government and the industry that India today has the world's second largest production capabilities in terms of textile raw material, but it's also home to the world's second largest spindle capacity, with an installed spindle capacity of 50 million spindles, which accounts to about 25% of the world's total installed spindles. 11th ATEXCON is being organized at a time when India and our Honorable Prime Minister is presiding over the prestigious G20 group, and for the next few days, India will witness the participation of various heads of state and government, policymakers and business leaders in the various G20 meetings. Recently, many of the developed countries that are also part of G20, like the European Union, United Kingdom, etc., has either developed or in the process of developing stringent regulation on sustainable textiles supply chain. I am also happy to share with you all that our Honorable Union Minister of Textiles, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, will also be with us later in the day, along with senior ministers and government officials from Government of Tamil Nadu. We will also like today's platform to lend to not only sectoral partnership, but also center-state partnership for this is very important textile sector. I would like to conclude by saying that Asia's narrative as the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumers is a testament to its resilience, adaptability, and unwavering commitment to the excellence. India will be playing a big role in this. The industry is optimistic about the future and is committed to the contribution to India's vision of sustainable growth. Once again, I take this opportunity to thank our beloved Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardoshi ji, for gracing today's occasion, who always have supported the cause of our industry. Thank you, Madam. I would also like to thank our Joint Secretary, Srimati Prajakta Verma ji, for also being with us today. Thank you, Madam. I also thank once again Mr. Christian Schindler, who happens to come all the way from Switzerland to take part in today's function. Thank you, Christian, for coming all the way. And he flies back today night to Indonesia for another conference tomorrow morning in Indonesia. Thank you, Christian. I also thank Mr. Sodhi for being with us for this function. And I would also like to thank all the sectoral and regional association, export promotion councils, the apparel export promotion council, the synthetic and rayon textile export promotion council, the textile export promotion council of India, Texprosil, Pedexil, HEPC, the handloom export promotion council, and the associations, the clothing manufacturers association of India, Tirupur Exporters Association, Karur Exporters Association, who have joined hands with the Confederation of Indian Textile Industry to make this conference a grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for the welcome address.
Now we request Mr. Navdeep Sodhi, Partner, Gerzi Textile Organization, Knowledge Partner of 11th ATEXCON, to deliver the theme presentation. Mr. Navdeep Singh Sodhi has 3 decades of international experience in the textile industry. His expertise includes strategic management, policy technology, and international trade and investment. With experience in over 50 countries, Mr. Sodhi has a deep understanding of the global textile industry. Over to you, sir.
Honorable Minister of State, Chairman of the Confederation of the Indian Textile Industry, dignitaries, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to present a paper on the theme of this conference, which is 2025 and beyond, Asia, the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumption. This is the city of Coimbatore. I mean, I don't know whether it is my 3rd home or 4th home after Switzerland and India. Nevertheless, I'm in love with this city, and therefore I would like to start my speech with a short anecdote about spinning. I'm delighted that the leaders from LMW are also here. The invention of the spinning jenny by James Hargreaves in the 18th century heralded the Industrial Revolution. Since then, the textile industry has been continually reinventing itself. At different stages of the industry's historical evolution, structural and technological shifts have played a defining role. Therefore, I firmly believe that when City contacted us regarding the topic and the theme for this presentation, I felt it was absolutely apt and in sync with the times. I'll divide my speech into 3 sections, and all these 3 sections about 5 topics in each section. We'll start with the 5 big trends, then we talk about 5 thematic areas, and in the end, since we have a galaxy of policy leaders amidst us, I would like to touch on a few thoughts for the policy. And policy does not mean policy only from the government, also policy from the private sector. Since the liberalization of the world trade in textiles and clothing since 1995, when the multi-fiber arrangement was dismantled, Asia has emerged as the powerhouse for textiles. This is clearly evident in terms of manufacturing capacity, fiber production, trade, and marketing. Let's look at some quick facts. 60% of the world's cotton and 80% of the world's man-made fibers are produced in Asia. On this note, I would like to give an example. Viscose is one of the fastest growing fibers in terms of consumption in the world. The production of viscose until a few years ago was only about 4 to 5 million tons and is projected to rise to about 10 million tons. Within the viscose family, there is an environmentally sustainable fiber called lyocell, which revolutionized the cellulosic fiber value chain, and there was only one producer of lyocell in the world until 2 years back. But by 2030, we will have 50 producers of lyocell in the world, and out of them, 14 will be in Asia. That's quite a remarkable achievement, ladies and gentlemen. 90% of the short staples spinning and more than 80% of the fabric forming installed capacities today are in Asia. The continent has a market share of 60% in world exports of textiles and clothing, and it's remarkable to note that within this trade, there is a $125 billion of trade which is intra-Asia. Vietnam exporting yarn to China, India exporting fabrics to Bangladesh, and this is really the opportunity, the intra-Asia trade of $125 billion today. Presently, 2 Asian brands, they are ranked among the 5 top brands and retailers in the world. Fast retailing, popularly known as Uniqlo and Shein. These are both Asian companies. I mean, nobody knew about these companies except the companies themselves or their founders more than 10 years ago. Our industry is presently undergoing the second wave of restructuring and consolidation. And here, I would like to come to the next phase of my speech, and that's to talk about 5 thematic areas that will shape the evolution of our industry 2025 and beyond. First, sourcing shifts are accelerating due to economics of production, which is quite natural, and geopolitics, also quite natural. In 2001, when China acceded to WTO, at the time of China's accession, its market share of the global apparel trade was only 18.7%, less than 20%. China's market share at its peak in 2015 increased to 40%, and today it is 33%. Shifts in sourcing. In the meantime, the global trade has increased. Instead of 6 billion, we have 8 billion people, so definitely the demand is increasing. Second, climate change brought environmental sustainability as the pivot of policy making. Introduced about 60 different legislative initiatives with the potential implications for suppliers. And the suppliers, please remember, they are in the global south. Of these, there are 12 initiatives which will have far-reaching operational and legal impacts on the apparel suppliers. These will include increased demands from brands about traceability and increased reporting requirements. The US Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act is already effective. The EU Green Deal singles out textile strategy with 11 legislative measures, for example, eco-design for sustainable products. This will lead to the suppliers having to produce what is called digital product passports. The shirt that I'm wearing will carry a code which will explain where was it produced, what was the fiber used in that, were the workers paid proper salaries in that factory or not. And this compliances will not be limited to tier 1, they will go to tier 2, and if the New York law is allowed to come into force, it will go even up to tier 4, that is where the cotton bales are produced. 3, digitalization. Both demand side and supply side digitalization and automation will have a big impact on the industry. Number 4, and this is again a defining trend, let's understand. Consumption patterns are changing. In 1960, the US personal spending was only $330 billion. And in this, the ratio of goods and services was 65 and 35. That is 65% goods and 35% services. Since 2000, the ratio has been consistently the other way around, 35% goods and 60% services. Moreover, the share of apparel in the US spending on goods has dropped from 12% to 8%. Mass customization is also gaining momentum. I mean, why look at the US, Let's look home. I mean, today's youngsters are more interested in iPhones or any kind of phones, traveling around, spending on food, restaurants, and so on, and less interested in clothes, So this is also a structural change in the consumption patterns. 5th, but not the least, thematic change that is going to define the textile production and consumption in the next 20 to 30 years is demographics. In 1990, Asia and Pacific had 60% share of the global workforce. In 2030, the share will drop to 55%. All countries, all continents except Africa will increase the labor force. Africa's participation in the global labor force will increase from 10% to 20%, So that is where there will be production and also eventually consumption. Now I come to the last part of today's speech, and that's policy imperatives. There are 5 takeaways for policymakers, both in the public and the private sector, that I would like to leave. First is technology upgradation. At some point of time, we needed technology to boost production, to boost productivity, to boost efficiency. But today, there's a shift in the paradigm. There is a huge potential in Asia for technology to be upgraded. There are big gaps even from country to country within Asia. For example, I take again my favorite subject because I'm a spinner by training. At the world level, we had only 37% of the ring spindles which are less than 10 years old, which means that we still have almost 65% of the spinning capacity, which by today's terms can be called obsolete. And again, there are big differences from country to country. Turkey and China have more than 40% ring spindles which are less than 10 years old. Let's call them young modern spindles. India has only 30%. So which means that even though spinning sector advanced so much, there is so much potential still for that to be upgraded. Second is a very important topic, which is also my favorite conversation with our dear policy leaders, and that's cluster development. Our industry thrives in natural clusters that have evolved over the last 30 to 50 years. Ludhiana, Tirupur, Narayanganj, Faisalabad, Ho Chi Minh City, these are the clusters where our industry thrives. Sometimes we get too carried away by the listed companies. The listed companies represent, ladies and gentlemen, only 10% of the production. 90% of our production comes from companies, I would like to call them as anonymous. You will not even find them filing any returns, But these are the real pillars and the backbone of our industry, so let's pay attention to them, Millions of anonymous SMEs populate these clusters. They are the backbone of our industry, and hence their ecosystem needs to be improved. They are the ones who are facing challenges out of water scarcity, inability to invest in ZLD, and so on. So unless we invest, public investment is directed to these clusters, we may not be able to unlock the full potential of our industry. 3, scale. To integrate with the global value chain, our industry needs a scale. Madam Minister of State, China understood this very well. Consider this fact. There are 25 companies, I would say, in Greater China. Today, Vietnam is also part of Greater China, that have a knitting capacity of more than 50 tons per day. And out of that, there are about 10 which have a knitting capacity of 100 tons per day. In the entire Indian subcontinent, comprising, let's say, 5 countries, there are less than 5 companies which have a capacity of more than 50 tons per day, and only 2 companies are in the range of 100 tons per day. Therefore, we need to encourage scale, and there has to be a strategy because it will not happen by accident. 4, we need to address the policy distortions, which in our opinion is a low-hanging fruit. To unlock the potential of our industry and to address these distortions first. They may be fiscal distortions, they may be structural distortions, or they may be just simply other policy distortions. The industry needs unhindered and unfettered access to the raw materials at competitive prices. And number 5, which is the last point for the policy makers, we need to build brands. Asia will need to build brands and to create more of ODMs, that is original design manufacturing, and OEMs, original equipment manufacturing. I leave this thought, ladies and gentlemen, for our 8 panelists to build on. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir, for the elaborate description.
We would like to invite Ms. Prajakta Verma, IAS, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Textiles, to address the gathering.
Honorable Minister for State for Textiles, Darshana ma'am, and all the dignitaries on the dais. For lack of time, I would like to begin and would like to share my thoughts for this very prestigious ATEXCON conference, which I believe is the 11th edition, which T. Rajkumar ji mentioned. And I think dialogues and discourses like these on such platforms help develop the perspective both for the policymakers and for the industry. So I'm very honored to be here, and I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this window to express my thoughts on what is being done at the level of the ministry and the government for incentivizing and encouraging and supporting the textile industry through the various vagaries and through the various challenges that we are facing. I would, since last 1 year, I have had the privilege of working in the textile ministry and working largely with natural fibers and the stakeholders. And I would like to say that a lot can be achieved by convergence and by collaborations. And we have seen the convergence approach in the working of the ministry, not just internally, but even with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. I think that this approach of convergence has enabled us to actually take the industry feedback and try and create unhindered or reduce the obstacles in the way. So I believe that the Ministry of Textiles does not function in a vacuum. We all have a lot of interministerial collaboration, and a lot of the work that is being done in the textile sector requires collaboration internally and with the other external stakeholders. So this sort of convergence, we believe, will lead us ahead. And the Textile Advisory Group is one of the major structural interventions that has taken place, which has brought about this convergence. And not just convergence, but also a feedback system which allows us to understand the challenges and how to deal with it. I would like to place my thoughts on some important developments that are taking place, especially Navdeep has briefly mentioned about how climate change, how biodiversity loss, and how pollution, the three main environmental concerns of the world, are shaping each and every segment, including the textile sector. And I think all of us know that textile industry, while it is a major contributor to employment and to the economy, it also leaves a large environmental footprint. In fact, the emissions, the aviation and the maritime shipping industry, the emissions which these two sectors generate equals to the emissions of the textile industry. So given that, we have a lot of work to be done on the environmental footprint, and as Navdeep Sodhi mentioned, that this is going to be a pivotal factor for all our efforts at the policy level and at the operations level. We are trying to see how do we actually create and support the MSMEs to deal with these challenges. I just, very recently, I went to South Korea, and I had the chance to meet to see the work of the MSMEs at their shop floor. And I was very surprised to see that they actually had incorporated all the sustainability principles into their daily operations, and they were very high on their awareness and their skill content. So our endeavor is that we utilize our Government of India schemes, like Samarth is one of them, so that we create the green skills which is needed for the skilled manpower. And in this context, I would like to place my thoughts to the industry that how we can actually utilize maximum government schemes, not just within the ministry, but also which are floated by other ministries. You might be aware that the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change has come out with a draft green credit draft policy paper. And they have requested the stakeholders to provide their thoughts on this. The Bureau of Energy and Energy Efficiency has the Perform, Achieve, Trade scheme. So there are a lot of these initiatives within the ministry and even outside, where there will be a lot of focus and schematic interventions available for the industry to take part, to participate in. And just as we wholeheartedly participated in the technology upgradation scheme, the TUF scheme, which is a very popular scheme of the Ministry of Textiles, just as the industry wholeheartedly participated in these schemes and made it a success, I would appeal at this forum that more and more awareness of the various initiatives being taken by the Government of India for circularity and sustainability, for mainstreaming these circularity and sustainability, and how do we avail of these schemes, and how we as a ministry can help the industry to avail of these support systems which are being provided by the Government of India is a very important thought which I would like to leave behind. Much is happening, and as Navdeep said, this is one of the important challenges we all are facing. There are challenges of reporting, there are challenges of compliance, there's challenges of capacity building. All these challenges will have to be dealt with by shared collaboration, And I would appeal that the ESG task force, which has been set up for this purpose in the ministry, invites various stakeholders, and just like even circularity, which is a very important theme, where recycling, if you all look around, which like the European Union legislations, the New York Act, which is coming up, all these are going to make recycled content mandatory. And many of us are already doing it, but how do we come together and increase our footprint, and we try and reduce our emissions and become more environment friendly, so that we create a niche in the market, especially at the export front. This is my major thought, which I think we as a ministry will also have to work in. And I was very, the cluster development approach, the natural clusters, which we all have organically developed, how do we utilize the strength of our MSMEs, because MSME is our strength. Though we are talking about scale and we are talking about production-linked incentive scheme, but the MSMEs are the ones who are actually accounting for, as he said, 90% of our production. And they are aspirational, they need the support to actually become competitive. We at the Government of India and Ministry is committed to provide our support for all these challenges. And forums like this actually bring about this convergence and this dialogue. I thank ATEXCON for bringing us all together. And at this forum, as I said, that we would like more and more active collaboration for the challenges that the textile industry faces. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the insightful speech. May I now please request our guest of honor, Honorable Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Jardosh, to deliver her keynote address.
Very good morning, all of you. Chairman City, Sri T. Rajkumar ji, Chairman Saima, Sri Ravi Sam ji, Chief Mentor CMI Rahul Mehta ji, Vijay Agrawal ji, Prajakta, our most efficient Joint Director in Ministry. In our ministry, women empowerment is there. Our chairman is, I always take privilege to say that our textile ministry is bonding with the girl power. DJ ITFM, Christian Sinler, partner Garzi Textile Organizer, Sri Navdeep Sodhi ji, a very good guidance. You all are the expert from beyond us. So, and Rakesh Mehra ji, always with us. All the Vijay Agrawal ji. And in the front liner also, I can, so many faces. With 2 years bonding with them and work with them, and I'm very happy to hear in Coimbatore, 5th time. So media and all dignitaries and all the participants in the exhibition. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Confederation of Indian Textile Industry for successfully organizing this 11th edition of ATEXCON, which is theme 2025 and beyond Asia, the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumers. I was part of the 10th edition of ATEXCON and happy to note that city has created this important platform for discussing the role of Asia as the global hub for textile manufacturing and consumers. Asia today is indeed the center of textile trade and plays an important role in defining trends and solutions for the global trades in the segment. I am happy to note that many sectorial and regional associations have joined hands to ensure that the conference have a value chain discussions. Here AEPC, SRTEPC, Texprosil, CMAI, TEA, Karur Export Association, HEPC and all other industries associations and cities member associations have come together to collectively explore ways to strengthen the textile ecosystem. Over the past decade, Asia has been the center of remarkable growth and change, and its textile industry is no expectation. With countries like China, industries no exceptions, with countries like China, India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Turkey at the forefront, Asia has solidified its position as a textile manufacturing powerhouse. The 5F vision, farm to fiber to fabric to fashion to foreign, encapsulates the entire value chain from the raw materials to the finished product, reaching international markets. By focusing on each of these stages, we ensure that our textiles are not only of superior quality but also contribute significantly to our nation's economy. Through investment in research and development, we can enhance the quality, durability, and sustainability of our textiles, thus capturing the attention of global consumers. It is heartening to note that during 2022, the top 3 exporters of textile and apparel products belong to Asian countries. As far as India is concerned, the textile and apparel sector has powerful presence in Indian economy, as it not only contributes to about 8% of Indians' total merchandise exports, but also provides direct and indirect employment to more than 10 crore people. It would not be wrong to say that the textile sector's significance goes beyond economic contributions. For India, it is also a symbol of our cultural diversity and heritage. It is indeed a pleasure to note that India not only has the world's second largest production capabilities in terms of textile raw materials, but is also home to the world's second largest spindle capacity, with an installed capacity of about 55 million spindles, which accounts to about 25% of the world's total installed spindles, says like Sodiji says. Moreover, the presence of the entire textile value chain has given India an upper hand as compared to its peer competitors, and coupled with the various schemes and benefits the central and state government are providing to the textile industry. India today is on the most favorite destination for the investment in the textile sector. The Prime Minister's Make in India initiative is more than just slogan. Its commitment to transfer India to a global manufacturing hub in the realm of textile, the means harnessing our rich heritage, diverse traditions, and skilled workforce to create products that are truly world-class. Our artisans have legacy that spans generations, and by integrating technology and modern techniques, we can infuse fresh life into their age-old craftsmanship. However, as we celebrate the achievement of the textile sector, we must also acknowledge the challenges it faces. Global competition, fluctuating raw materials cost, and changing consumer demands require us to remain agile and adaptable. By investing in research and development, promoting skill development programs, and fostering collaborations across the value chain, we can ensure that our textile sector continues to thrive. Under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, the government had taken number of policies measures such as PLI scheme, PM Mitra Parks, fast tracking of FTAs, which will play a keynote role in attracting investment into a sector and thus contributing to its development. Going by the G20 theme, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the Indian textile should also work towards the co-creation and an initiative on sustainable global value chains that meets a common and set of social, environmental and economic objectives, drawn from the building on the commitment already made by the G20. It's remarkable to note that in recent years, the Indian textile sector has witnessed remarkable achievements in technology and sustainability. We have embraced eco-friendly practices focusing on reducing water consumptions, minimize waste, and adopting ethical labor practices. Today from the forum, I can say with full confidence that this decade will belong to the Indian textile sector, and times to come, India will emerge strongly as a major textile manufacturer and consumer in not just Asia but on the global front. Events like ATEXCON will complement to government's efforts to upbringing India's textile sector, and I congratulate CT for organizing such as a wonderful event to discuss the core issues of the textile industry and devise a roadmap to overcome these various challenges. Let us embark on a journey of collective growth where the G20 nations collaborate to weave a tapestry of innovation, entrepreneurship and sustainable progressive. Together we can set a precedent of global cooperation that surpasses borders and nature's prosperity for the generation to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for your keynote address, which reflected your visionary thoughts and guidance to develop the Indian textile and apparel industry. Your insightful address has really encouraged all of us.
Now may I request Shri Rakesh Mehra to kindly felicitate the Honorable Minister of State for Textiles and Railways, Srimati Darshana Vikram Darjor, by presenting a memento. May I now request Shri Ravi Sam, Chairman SIMA, to hand over a memento to Mrs. Prajakta Verma, Joint Secretary, Minister of Textile.
The forum is now open for questions.
Madam, તમારી માટે એક question છે. The industry, particularly the polyester industry, is demanding that the QCO should be implemented on the polyester yarns. હવે extension આપેલો છે till 4th of October and 5th it will roll out. What is the opinion of the Ministry of Textiles whether it should be?
अभी प्राजक्ता ने बताया आपको, वही चीज़ बताई आपको, लेकिन आपने ठीक से सुना नहीं. केमिकल एंड फर्टिलाइजर मिनिस्ट्री के साथ में मिलकर तय करना है. टेक्सटाइल मिनिस्ट्री अकेला कोई काम नहीं कर सकती, आपको पता है. Depend on finance ministry, depend on commerce ministry, depend on agriculture ministry, depend on chemical and fertilizer. So collective our ecosystem is there, and in future you got a good response from the ministry.
Maybe for this QCO we have the Ministry of Petrochemicals involved, but for viscose staple fiber it is only Ministry of Textiles. The Tamil Nadu weavers are demanding that QCO should be extended for viscose staple fiber.
Sir, on QCO, you know, it's a new concept which has come out. So even on cotton, you would see on
it has
cotton
got extended, I believe,
yes,
if I'm not
for
mistaken.
a year. So many discussions are going on, and they are in the process of even recycled fiber and things like that. The discussions are going on, and a lot of consultative discussions are happening. So also they take opinions from other ministries also, as Honorable Minister said. So it can take a bit time on this front. 2-3 things are pending. So probably in the months to come or weeks to come, we might hear something new.
This is Manish Daga from All India Cotton Farmer Producer Organization Association. I have a question for Mr. Sodhi. You addressed many important points, 3 critical being sustainability, scaling up and branding. With India perspective, what do you think should be done right away to start on this roadmap?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Daga. I mean, first of all, I mean, India is a very mature textile industry. We have, thousands of years of heritage, so it's not something new. I mean, in our opinion, what Indian industry needs to do is all these 3 things, but the highest priority has to be given to establish our credentials as an industry which believes in sustainability, because that is what the international brands, international retailers and the industry is looking at. And to achieve that, we will need to invest in technology, we will need scale, So we believe that all these 5 points are important, but out of that, this needs to be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Arkevich, President All India Textile Association of India. Only one thing is there, one GST rate, which is pending from many days, 1 or 2 years. We have given one suggestion that you can have one GST rate from PTA, MEG, yarn, fibers, filament, you can have one GST rate. You can keep 5% GST rate on fabric, garment as it is, so that half of the industry should not be doing all these, first credit is there, then we are taking back is there. So that is one thing. At least this unnecessary calculation we should not do. So we are requesting, industry is requesting, so there should be one GST rate.
Any GST rate is decided by the Ministry of Councils. So every state should be represent and then decide by the GST Council, not by any ministry or any personal request. So GST Council has to decide all the things about the GST.
Any other questions, please? Thank you very much.
May I now request Deputy Chairman, Confederation of Indian Textile Industry, Sri Rakesh Mehra, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a pleasure to propose this vote of thanks on behalf of City. I take this opportunity to thank Honorable Minister of State, Darshana Ben, Joint Secretary, Prajakta Verma, dignitaries on the dais, my colleagues from various associations sitting in the audience, and friends from the industry and other associations, friends from the media, and I thank all of you here. The pitch for this session has been already set. The words circularity, sustainability, climate control were unheard of till 2 years ago. The kind of importance they have brought out in our lives today are known to each one of us. And I'm sure that the deliberations in the next 2 days on all these points will truly enhance our knowledge and our focus towards all these 3 items. And this is where we are headed for. Till 2 years ago, it was just fast fashion. And now people are talking of more usable clothes and no fast fashion. So there's a significant change in the entire structure of the industry. And like I said earlier, Mr. Sodhi, Prajakta Madam, Honorable Minister have set a tone for what lies ahead of us, and I am sure we'll all get entitled. And thank you once again, all of you, for having taken out the time to come here today amongst us. And I do hope, please come up openly and let us make this a truly encouraging and a valuable session. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a tea break of 15 minutes. We request all the dignitaries on the stage for a group photo session. We kindly request all the dignitaries on the dais for a group photo.